Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us here tonight on the show. Star date is irrelevant. Date and time is irrelevant. We know you're here. We know you're listening. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight, we have a very special feature here from the Zenas Expeditionary Force. This is Alan, aka the Film Guide. Would you please say hello to the audience for me?
Hey everybody, what's going up? And shout out to my ZEF peeps who are listening in right now.
Thank you very much for coming on here onto the show. I'm joined by our Chief Logistics Officer, Captain Timberwolf. Give us a howl, sir.
Oh!
And our Chief Intelligence Officer, Captain Sarcasm Detector.
Greetings.
Our Chief Science Officer and our Chief of Cheesy Tactics are out on a date tonight, so we promised them some time off together. They're taking advantage of it, so we'll let them have their fun, and we'll see them next week when they come back on. So, hopping into this here, we would love to know more about ZEF because one of your fans leaked the video to us, and we were just blown away by what we saw. So, I don't know how you want to start this out, but I mean, I actually want to go to that video first, right before we go down the line with the questions. What got you guys motivated to make that video?
Well, I still have no idea who leaked that to you. But whoever did, if you're listening, thanks. No, it's actually just something we started doing. So Zenas Expeditionary Force is a RP fleet. We're kind of growing in the scene, and I got this idea last year about kind of doing trailers to like our season finale, because with our season finale we actually run it as seasons, kind of like how STO does with like season 10, for example, is the Iconian War. The one before that was the Delta, yada yada yada. So I decided to go kind of the same route with that. So our season 1 finale, I had done a short kind of teaser to what was going to be coming up, and it kind of just kept going from there. I think the very first video I did for the fleet was actually our starbase transforming from Tier 3 to Tier 4, and I took the theme music from the J.J. Abrams Star Trek, the first one, and threw it to the video and I did a whole thing in demo record. It was really long and time consuming, but just from there I kept going with it, and now whenever we have something big coming up, I kind of sit down and talk with our story council people and our senior officers, talk about what things we want to do in the upcoming season or for our big event, and try and make a video from that.
Cool. If you could do us a favor, I don't know if you need to move the mic a little bit closer to you, but our audience would love to hear more of what you have to say and state it clearly so that we can enjoy what you're actually telling us here, because I don't want them to lose out, especially when they start grumbling at me. It's like, man, we wanted to hear what he had to say, and we couldn't hear it properly.
Yeah, I'll definitely try. I'm kind of on a crappy Logitech headset here. I'm actually sitting at work right now.
All right, well, we'll do the best that we can here, but we appreciate you making the best efforts in order to try and clear up the audio. So, how old is the fleet here? Because I know we've had a lot of RP fleets that have been around for a while. How old is your fleet?
So our fleet is over a year. I want to say a year and about 4 months old. It was started off by a bunch of people who RP'd together in another fleet. We had a different idea of how we wanted to do stuff, so we went off and started our own thing. And luckily enough, we actually had off to the side, we already had a fleet that was like a starbase that was already Tier 3. So a lot of the internal stuff, like the bar, the embassy fireplace, are really important things to add to the RP aspect of things. So that was actually something that that was really helpful for the transition. It didn't break the immersion too much, I guess you could say.
Oh no, you said the I word.
Oh no.
Don't hate, man. Don't hate.
Okay, I'll try not to. So I want to jump back here a little bit. So you guys do your role playing as seasons? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, that's correct. So we try and tie in what's going on in the STO world with into our own storyline. So right now we're actually in the middle of our season 4, where we've introduced the Iconian War to our storyline. Um, now, where we're located, if you look at the STO map, is on the very far left of the, I guess we could call it Alpha Quadrant, way past DS9 and in the Zenas Expanse. So we're taking the Iconian War to a different way. We're actually working more with the Alachi, because the Alachi have kind of been a little bit of the henchmen. So we're emphasizing more on the Alachi than the Iconians, but there's still an Iconian presence out there. So we did the same thing with the Undyne when they blew up Earth space dock. Like, it's a lot of things that happen in the STO storyline are all talking points for role players. Like, not just our fleet, like the 38th fleet, which is a RP fleet that we partner up with. They used to be Task Force Argo. So yeah, anything that happens in STO, we put in our own thing, and we kind of do seasons, and then in between seasons, we take a couple of weeks off just to give the story council people a break and kind of recharge the brain, so to speak.
And work on the videos as well, I'm guessing.
I usually try and work on the video. Actually, when I work on the videos, I work on the videos while RP is happening. So this Iconian trailer that everyone's been talking about, I was actually working on during May, which was the our season 3 finale, and I was actually on night shifts the entire month of May, so I had a lot of downtime to kind of tinker with stuff. But after we finished the season 3 and I launched the trailer, I took about a month just to kind of rest my brain, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that I know. I do a little bit of recording myself and tinkering with demo record, and yeah, it can be quite a bit of a job by itself.
Yeah, I'm just starting to get into this just by doing simple recordings and very light editing. I can't even wrap my hand around how you guys do what you do, because it's just phenomenally awesome. I'm in awe of it.
Well, it's really, it's a lot of practice. Like, I've never video edited before. Well, that's a lie. I did once. I used to run a car club. I'm actually up here in Canada, in the Toronto area, and I went out to a car show and had my GoPro, and I cut it all together in Sony Vegas Pro, and then threw a song with it, and that was the very first video I ever edited. And then I wanted to learn more about the demo record program, so it was a lot of trial and error. I can't remember the name of the old podcast that isn't around anymore, but they had a episode where all they did was talk about demo record and the different paths, and I found actual write-ups on like the easy path and shadow path and all that stuff, and it was just a lot of practice. And to learn Sony Vegas Pro, that was actually a lot of YouTube videos, just watching YouTube videos, what buttons to press, how to do what. And a year later, I'm here.
hmm Actually, speaking of YouTube videos, there is at least two or three different series of YouTube videos done by different people that are tutorials on how to use demo record, and some of them are really good, some of them are pretty dry, but they do kind of help out, especially for the different paths.
Yeah, I recently stumbled across one. One guy did. It looked like it was done a long time ago, but he looked at each path that was available in demo record and kind of talked about it. And I found this after the fact. I'm like, why couldn't I find this before, right? But
Yeah.
but in all my videos, I just stick to the easy path, and I just lay out the camera points where I want them and play trial and error. The one I allowed to swear on this? The one pain in the ass part is when a friend logs in or off, and you're in the middle of an awesome shot, and then all of a sudden you just see at something has logged in. And it's like, that is one thing I wish STO could kind of do away with.
I think I can help you out in that case.
I think I know where you could go. The Rachel Garrett program?
No, 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 no. There is one command that you enter in while you're in demo record. And let me see if I can post it somewhere here. So I don't know if you can see the chat on the right side, the group chat.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, so what you do is you, like, obviously when you're doing demo record, you let it play out first the whole way through so that everything renders, and then you stop it and you go back to the beginning. You hit the tilde to pop up the console, and you type that in. For those of you listening, it is show game UI space 0. Hit enter, close the console, and it won't show any of those pop-ups.
Oh, see, still learning stuff to this day. Where were you the past year? Because the last video, I had told some of my fleet mates about how many demo record files I had for that last video, and there was 256 megs worth of demo files, and you know that those file sizes are
Yeah, they're tiny.
So, and a lot of that was just from, I would start recording a sequence and then somebody would log off. I'm just like, damn it, stop it. All right. And to my fleet folks that are listening, thank you to them, because to do these shots, I got to get them out of whatever RP they're doing and kind of coordinate with them to do these shots. And I'll be like, yeah, I promise 5 minutes is all it's going to take, and it turns into like 15, 20 minutes because that's the time when the server crashes or somebody else decides to log in and off.
Yeah. You can do what I did, which is this week, sometimes I record, not everything I record is demo record. Some of it's just in-game stuff, especially if I'm doing a ship review or something like that. I have to be doing it in the game. And this past week I was recording, it was last week actually, I was recording and I just lost it. I couldn't take it anymore. I started pulling my hair out. All this, X's popped on, X's logged off, X's were logged on, blah, blah, blah. And I went through my friend list and remove. So that just makes it really simple for me right now. My friends list is completely empty. No one pops in, pops out, whatever, and my videos are nice and clean of all of that.
See, the thing I did is I actually created a separate account, and I'm not adding anybody to that friends list.
That works as well, I guess.
Yeah, you guys are just crazy, that just having to worry about having somebody else's name pop up and like, I ruined the shot. Thank you very much, you sarcasm detector.
It
coming
breaks,
in and logging on at this time.
Yeah, it breaks the immersion of the video that you're trying to create.
Well, speaking of immersion, you use the I word right there. Do you actually tie in your videos that you produce to whatever the fleet is doing?
Sorry, what do you mean exactly?
Well, like, say, for example, you have the Iconian War, so you put out a trailer for it. Do you do anything else as far as, okay, if we're fighting the Alachi or working against the Alachi in order to fight the Iconians, do you put out any other video or make footage of what the fleet is doing and then put that up as part of another piece of the story, for example?
That's actually not something I've really thought about, actually. That might be something to look into. It's a lot of work doing one of these vids. Like, the last video was 3 minutes 9 seconds, I think, and the night I published it, I still had 36 seconds left of footage to do, and that took about 4 hours to do. So it's something to consider. It'd actually be a good idea. But the problem is that I would have to be there for the events to be able to capture that stuff, and then that leads into another thing that our fleet uses a lot is Foundry. One thing that our Story Council people have done is we've actually created our own set of species that are out in this Zenas expanse, and when you go and try and make it into Foundry, if you do demo record, the ground characters do not show up in the file at all, so you can't really do a video to feature them. Space is totally fine, but ground you can't do, which kind of sucks. And then you're also limited to 5 people in the Foundry mission, which also sucks. So yeah.
I was just about to ask about the Foundry, but you just answered those questions. I just want to go back and ask a couple more questions about the fleet itself. So how many members do you have in the fleet, and can you talk about some of the different activities that you do, or go more in depth about the activities that you do?
Yeah, so according to our website, there is about 91 people who play in our fleet. Each person has about 2 or 3 different alts, so if we were to look at the roster, I think it's north of 200 characters in the fleet. So, like, right now, I think there's actually 14 people online, and I think there's actually a RP event going on. Somebody is hosting something for one of our ships, the Monsoon, which goes into your second question about what do we do. So we have the Starbase. We have players who command the Starbase, who do different things on the Starbase. So there's Starbase focused events, whether it be the environmental stuff going haywire or something of a diplomatic matter where the Breen ambassador comes in to say hello and threaten us or whatever. And then we have 2 ship departments. We have the mobile operations, who go out and kind of get involved in all the pew pew stuff. And we have the colonial ops, which is majority of our European folks, Euro people, and they go and do like colonial stuff, like terraforming, for example, or resettling species, or of that matter. But they get involved in the pew pew stuff as well, and part of the storyline. So of those 2 groups, so we'll talk about mobile operations. Right now, there is an event going on for the USS Monsoon. They have captain, first officer, engineer person who is run by actual players. And so each ship is kind of set up like that, where they go off and they do their own little story. And one thing I actually did video-wise for that is in the YouTube list, you'll see like Star Trek Olympia or Star Trek Monsoon or Columbia with their own kind of starting theme music, like you would in a Star Trek show, and kind of feature the individual players in that. I still have a bunch more of those videos to do. One for like the Odin, for example, is another ship that I got to do. Just I got to get motivated to do another video.
Now, do you open up with anything like that, like Stardate 2015 139.4, something like that?
Those videos?
Yeah.
No. It just starts like if you're watching Deep Space Nine and it starts off with like a random comet going by and then it focuses in on the station. It's just that kind of video.
Okay.
Yeah, with that particular player or set of players ship.
Now, do you have multiple like people who record just stock footage and then they send it to you, and you do edits, or you're just the one doing it all?
I do all of it. There's been a couple of people that have tried their hand at using demo record and then putting it together. Actually, there is one video, now that I think about it. Not Star Trek Columbia. It was one thing the players like to do is personal logs. And after our season 2, we had a big thing with the Undyne, and one of our captains, Captain Romar, had a personal log, and we had the actual player. He did the voice work for it, and then we had another person come in and do the voice work for the first officer, and then they actually emailed me those the audio files so I can put them in the video. So I think that's been the only video that has been a collaboration work with other members.
Cool. Well, one thing I wanted to ask you and kind of get a consensus about you as well as your fleet. What do you feel about the state of the game from a PvE perspective?
Well, I know the one really big sticking point was the increase to level 60. Oh man, there was a lot of everybody kind of had to level up all their mains and their ults to get up to level 60. Because another thing that we like to do is we like to use there's that one 20-person fleet alert where we kind of use that as like a somebody's coming to the extac. Holy crap! Attack the station. So we'll use that STF as a placeholder, and the ships go out and blow shit up or whatever. So I know with those STFs, the increase to level 60 was kind of like, oh crap! Like we have some people who don't really like the grind. Me, I'm kind of a heavy grinder. I used to be a PvEer before I got into RP. So I think that was a big headache. The other headache is the lag as of late. It's kind of annoying when you're trying to have a conversation with somebody and they get booted off because the network is whatever, and it just ruins with the I word. I'm not going to say it again.
What lag? You know, there's lag because players love the game too much.
Oh, you are so stuck on that point, aren't you?
But yeah, the lag is, yeah. You don't want to hear another hour-long rant from me about the lag. Let's move
I
on.
will say, I will honestly say though that there are days where even at peak hours it has gotten better, and then there are some days where you want to pull the rest of your hair roots out after you're done pulling out your hair because it's like, why am I even in this? But for how about this? For people who have not gotten into RP or are still curious about, why people RP, what is the draw to RP in this game?
Well,
And how do you immerse yourself into that feeling that you are this captain, that you are doing these things in this game?
well, it helps to find a group that has a good set of storytellers. And I know I've said this a couple of times, but our senior officers and our story council are by far like the ideas that they come up with are just top notch. Like there's just so much creativity. I I I don't do story creation too much. The video thing is kind of my thing. But from a personal standpoint, because when I first started playing STO, I was a big PvEer. I was in a fleet that had 5 active people, so I was one of those small fleet people trying to get up to get the fancy stuff. And I decided to try RPing. So I found a thing where it's like, yeah, come on over to our starbase and RP with us. So I did, and I kind of just got hooked. And it's I was fortunate enough to find a good group of people who, to this day, like I've known them for almost 2 years now. So a lot of them are actually good friends with me. We talk pretty much every day. Some of them I text message. Some of them I call up on Skype and shoot the shit with them on my way to work. But I think it's the part where the Story Council tries to take the STO stuff and expand it into our own thing. And then there's also, because they have their own species made up, um, we got the story people who make up stories around that. So it's just more stuff to kind of engage the mind. And yeah, it's that. I really don't know how else to explain it, but for me, it was just the story that got me hooked, and a good set of storytellers, really.
No, it's absolutely fascinating. Now, here's a question I gotta ask. Do you guys put restrictions game-wise on your players? Like, what's that name of that group there? Starfleet Battles?
The battle channel
The
or
battle.
battle
Yeah,
group.
yeah, that RP group. They put certain restrictions on for space battles. For example, you have to, if you're flying a Federation ship, you have to use phasers. You have to have either a photon or a quantum torpedo on the front and the back, and that sort of thing. Do you guys do you do the same thing or similar with your guys, or do you just let them do whatever they want?
For that, it's more theater of the mind when it comes to that. We don't put those kind of restrictions on the ships. Um, like the theater of mind part is this is a Federation ship. It's going to have phasers. Starfleet is not going to give you Klingon disruptors or Romulan plasma weapons and fit it to your ship. We try and keep things pretty. We like our Star Trek canon. It's we like to keep it like TNG almost. As for outfitting, like me personally, my ship that I have, which is now the Manticore, I have the anti-proton dual beam banks on it. I don't have any torpedoes. Sorry, Odin. But its theater of mind is that the torpedoes are there. So when we go to RP, it's just RP that the torpedoes are being shot out of the ship. But no, no restrictions on that sense. Now, for the type of ships that you can, like, if say somebody joined the fleet and they wanted to join as a lieutenant commander, a lieutenant commander in the world of Star Trek would not be given command of a Galaxy class ship. It's just there's too many people on that ship for that rank of person. So we do have restrictions on what ship you can command at what rank. So if you wanted to be a Galaxy class captain, then you got to work yourself up to the captain rank to get to that ship. But you do have access to like a Defiant class. Those are the only real restrictions that we have ship wise.
No,
Okay.
that's fascinating.
Don't discount the Defiant. Just saying.
Oh no, I'm not. It's just the Defiant has a smaller crew complement that you're responsible for.
It's an inside joke with the guys here. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So a defiant would be what, like a lieutenant, for example?
Lieutenant commander.
Okay.
If you're coming in and if you're coming in as an ensign or a lieutenant, it means that you're green to RP, and that's usually the best way to kind of experience Star Trek. Come in as an ensign, work as an ensign, get kind of ordered around by your captain, and work your way up, and kind of get the spotlight shone on you, so to speak.
So what ship would you fly as an ensign or a lieutenant?
As those two, you wouldn't. You would be, if it really depends on who you're being assigned with. But an ensign wouldn't be assigned a ship. They would be part of an ensign would be like a helmsman or a tactical officer,
Or a shuttle pilot getting the shuttle?
or that too. Yeah.
So this immersion is more, based on what you're telling me, it sounds more like you're casting yourself in this show that somebody has a script for, and you're just kind of going along with it, playing off of each other.
Pretty much, yeah. If this was a TV show, this would be Star Trek Zenas Expeditionary Force, or Star Trek ZEF to make it shorter, because that's Zenas Expeditionary Force is a bit of a mouthful, especially when you have to type it out a bunch of times.
We'll go with Zeph. Zeph is fine.
Zeph sounds cool. Personally, I like it. But You guys call the shots on here. This is your show.
I'm just along for the ride, man.
Do you guys do any PvP at all, whether in an RP state or just kind of, I guess, whatever, where you're not on your show?
um, from what I have experienced, the only real PvP that happens is like when we're testing out new builds. Like we get a new ship, we get new upgraded weapons, we want to try it out, and then we'll go PvP. We have an event coming up in late August where we're kind of doing is it Star Trek 6, but we're going to kind of explore um, not the main light, not the main part of like the movie, but what would have our fleet been doing if we were along for that timeline. And so in that one, we're planning on doing some PvP stuff where we're going to make sure everybody is on a level playing field and has ships that match the era and white, whatchamacallit, weapons, which is going to be rough, but you got to keep it fair, right?
What is this fair that you speak of?
Fair and fun for everyone. How's that?
That's better.
Yeah.
That's much better.
So speaking of new ships and stuff, just like as a side question here, what do you think of the last couple of ships that we've gotten? There's the new upgraded Avenger Mogai, and there's the Nandi ship. Have you gotten your hands on any of those ships yet?
Not yet. I got my hands on the Manticore. I love it. I finished up getting up to tier 5 mastery on it, and then I got the fleet version when they released it. So I really stick to one ship when I'm doing my PvE stuff. I haven't had the chance to play with any of the new Avenger. I don't really play too much on Klingon or Romulan side, unfortunately. But I have seen the Avenger, the new Avenger. It looks weird. I think the award for ugliest deflector goes to this new Avenger, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of looks like an Avenger and a Regent kind of bumped uglies and produced this, and the Chimera had a hand in it somewhere.
It's probably worse than that. I think the Dyson Science Destroyer is in there too much as well.
Yeah. There's the new Avenger from a certain angle looks good, but when you see that deflector, to me personally, it just looks I can't do it.
On the bright side, if you get the fleet version, you can go with the old stubby Avenger look on that, which I personally like.
Yeah. I love what they did with the new Chimera and making it Manticore. Like, I love the nacelles on it, and I noticed last week that they actually put the deflector from the Pathfinder on it, which makes it look a lot sharper. Some people still don't like the bottom part of the Chimera / Manticore, but it's really grown on me. The extra pod up top has kind of at first I didn't like it too much, but it's grown on me still, so I love the ship.
One thing I would like to ask you, is there something in the game that you would like to see from based off of what you and what your fleet do?
Yeah, there's a few things. I know a couple of my fleet mates went to the Star Trek convention in Las Vegas last year and actually talked to a couple of developers and listed a few things. One thing I know everybody would love is a red alert button when you're on your bridge and make the lights dim and things glow red. That would be cool.
Oh, now that's an idea. Devs, if you're listening out there. Engage. Get to it.
Yeah, get on that. Just an extra button. The ability to control the number of NPCs that are walking around on your ship. The ability to change their uniforms, because we have a kind of different uniform look than what STO has kind of rolled out as the new canon look. So it'd be really cool to be able to kind of change the color patterns on that. I realize it might be a lot of work. Another really cool thing is to kind of take the design elements from the new Earth space dock, which I love, by the way. That's just amazing work done there, but I would love to see those visuals kind of be introduced as an option for Fleet Star bases. Just kind of update the look and bring it up to 25th century standards.
Well, they were talking about some of the new ship interiors that they did for example, the Federation tutorial, and there's a couple other missions that have them. They were talking about making those available to ship interiors, but we haven't quite seen those yet.
Yeah, I can't remember which Steve was talking about it, but was asking if people would like to be able to customize each deck and have it load up as a separate instance instead of one instance. I think the answer from everyone was like, oh my god, yes, do it. So that way you could have like the Origin bridge, but the new Voyager engineering, for example. I love that engineering. I don't like the old engineering that we've had for the past almost 6 years now.
The giant piece of but the really big one that looks like you can put a Defiant in there.
Yeah. I know another thing that I asked a couple of people today is additions to Foundry. Like I said earlier, our people do a lot of work in Foundry to pound out missions for our people and kind of put a visual reference to things. Like instead of just sitting on the bridge and doing theater of mind, now you can actually go out to a mission that actually has the things there. It'd be like one of our Foundry guys, Wright is his character name. He does a lot of really good work for in the Foundry, and he had actually done a mission where there was a ship that was lost back in the 22nd century or 23rd century, and it's come up. And you go onto the bridge and you have to take an EV suit because life support is done. So you load onto this bridge and there is actual dead corpse floating on the bridge. And they're wearing the Wrath of Khan uniform, and it's just really weird. You get into the captain's quarter and there's a log that he actually made up, and it's like, this is my final log kind of thing, and this is what has happened, and it was just amazing the work that this guy does. So back to the original point is seeing the new content that STO puts out, maybe having that available in Foundry quicker. I know that they would like to see that instead of waiting for like the next season to roll out before you actually see that stuff.
Yep. I would suggest poking Zeronius Rex if you can. She's the one who does like a lot of the. She's a producer in the game. She also does a lot of Foundry work and stuff like that. She's always the one promoting the Foundry.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think I actually have her on Twitter. She's the one with the pink hair, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So if it's Foundry related, I'm sorry, Zeronius, if you're gonna get flooded with stuff. I love you, but yeah, she's the one to poke about that.
Well, if she's going to be at the convention in August at Las Vegas, I think about 14 of our members are actually all converging into Las Vegas to meet up and have a weekend together and go to the convention, see the Star Trek Axanar people, which, by the way, that video has actually been kind of a motivation for me when I do my videos. Before I start doing any trailer or whatever, I watch that video before I start making anything, because that is the best 21 minutes of my YouTube life ever. So I really want to go see those people. They're going to go see the Deeves and them for stuff like the red alert button on the bridge, please.
Yep. So yeah,
Yeah.
look for the one with the bright pink hair and just keep bugging her about that.
Yeah, Zephyrs, if you're listening, pink hair girl at the STO booth, poke her, get Foundry stuff.
Take lots of pictures, post them on your site.
Yes, that too.
One last thing we wanted to ask here. If you had the ability to pay for a feature that you would love to see, kind of chaining off the last question, if you wanted to pay Zen or Dill for a feature, what feature would you like, or service, or something? What would you like?
Me personally, wow.
What would you pay Dill or Zen or both for?
See, I, I'm kind of ridiculous when it comes to buying Zen and dilithium. Again, because I was part of a fleet that was really small, so I had to buy a lot of dilithium to get the projects going. Like I'm talking, I've spent more than $5,000 in 2 years on Zen for dilithium. Stupid, I know, but whatever. I like my STO, damn it. Fuck, wow. Me personally, I would pay dilithium for the Starbase upgrades to get it up to the new Earth space dock standards. That's something that I would definitely pay dilithium for, i.e. Zen as well, because that's how I would have to get it.
So this would be in lieu of having to do all the other sub projects for it in order to be able to level up the Starbase. Just say, here's this absorbent amount of Zen. Bring me there.
Yeah, literally, shut up, take my money, give me this.
Okay. Have you guys seen or been on Tribble and seen the new research lab?
I've seen of the new fleet holding, right?
Yes.
I've seen pictures. I haven't been able to get onto Tribble lately and check it out personally, but I've seen pictures. I know, based on a few conversations with some of the fleet people, that we're actually kind of
How excited are you guys?
we're really digging the new conference room. I think a lot, like we do have conference scenes, like in the video that you guys saw, there was that one swooping in shot with everyone sitting around the conference table.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite ones there. I like that one where you're just panning it and it's like, how the heck did you guys do that? That seemed like you were actually getting ready to do like a real movie shot. I like that one.
Well, I had actually taken that demo file for the purposes of screenshots, because I use demo record a lot for screenshots as well, and I actually recently just made a tutorial video how to use demo record for getting like the best screenshots that you can using field of view and render scale and all that. But yeah, it turned out I ended up using that as part of the video. But yeah, I know people are really excited for the new conference room. I think it's going to be used a lot. We haven't quite figured out how we're going to incorporate it into our setting. But no, I know people are really looking forward to it.
It's a research lab, so you've got to have those at least one or two mad scientist type in your fleet that are just kind of rubbing their hands together and cackling.
Oh yeah, for sure. We do have a couple of the mad scientist guys, and it's like first thing they say is like, "Oh my god, I got a new science lab, mine, dibs." It's like, all right, let's wait till we can actually see what we can get here and what we can make of it. So.
Nope, mine. No, but wait, it's not released yet. Mine.
No. Hold on, because I want to lock this down right now. When you do the video inside the new Mad Scientist Lab, we want exclusive rights to debut it.
All right, cool.
You heard it first, live on the show.
Now, is this video supposed to be done after it's completely upgraded, or?
We leave that to you. We just
right.
want to display it. We want to watch it first before everybody else sees it, and then we'll display it. We'll promote the heck out of it.
Because I know when something new, for example, so when we started the fleet last year in February, We came in. The fleet was at Tier 3. It was missing a few things. Embassy, I think, was only at Tier 2. Dilithium Mine was, I think, at Tier 1. And Spire was at Tier 1. But we were able to get the Starbase, Embassy, and we were able to get the three things that top out at Tier 3 to Tier 3. And we were able to get the Starbase from Tier 3 to Tier 4 in a month and a half. And that is the first video that I did of for the fleet, was the watching the Starbase kind of disappear and then reappear with the half mushroom top. So when something fancy goes out, we bust our balls off and we'll get her done.
Well, segueing into this new fleet holding, Timberwolf, can you give us a little bit more details on what to expect out of it? Aside from the screenshots of the new conference room, if you guys have that done on Tribble yet, what else is going to be up and coming here that players want to know about?
Well, I first have to thank Sarcasm. He gave me one of his intelligence ships, so I was able to sneak in and get a full look at everything they have so far out. And
You weren't supposed to talk about that. I'm going to have to kill you now.
no, it's okay. I use one of the smaller ones. You don't really have a lock on it. It was easy to hack the system. Anyway, there are several things that, from the casual player to high-end, for science especially, there are. One of the big things for all players is the new Crenum duty officers. Their trait, their built-in trait, is profession-specific, and it's a 10% cooldown, if I remember correctly, of their specific abilities. So let's say you're running an engineering tune. The engineering Crenum bridge officers will have a 10% reduction of all engineering abilities. The same goes for science, the same goes for tactical. So while the tactical officers might not replace your SROs if you're going for DPS, you can have an engineering and a science that reduces the cooldown on your science and engineering abilities, and some of those abilities also affect your tactical abilities when it comes to starship traits. So it's something that's worth playing around with, and as of yet, I have not seen if the abilities stack yet. It's something that I'm going to try this week, but we could be looking at, if it stacks, you could have an improved cooldown further of up to 20% or higher, depending on how many officers you have on there. And that's just one. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, is that a flat cooldown, or is that a cooldown when they activate their abilities?
It looks like it's a flat cooldown, but I will have to further research it. Right now I'm on holodeck. I'll have to log back into Tribble later on this evening to verify that, but it was looking like it was just a flat cooldown reduction. The big ones, though, the very big ones that I know a lot of players are looking at, are your secondary deflectors and your consoles. Now I'm going to get to the consoles in a minute. The deflectors, however, the secondary deflectors, they're listed as strategic secondary deflectors. And the big one is Tier 3, and it's plus energy damage. Now, as a science tune, you don't have many weapon slots to begin with, so you're really trying to maximize what you can do. Most people go with their particle gens, their grav gens. They max out their exotic damage. And at Epic, it's a 6% energy damage increase, but it's not much, but it does help a little bit. The most interesting thing, though, they're ultra rare with 3 modifications. When they go to Epic, you get the standard part gen and shield emitter Epic mod, but it also gains a second mod that we have tested as random. On the first one we upgraded, it got an additional flow cap mod. On the one that I upgraded for my tune, it got a Gravwell mod. So on Epic, you're getting your standard Epic mod, and you also have a chance at a random mod of whatever is available for science. So depending on which one you're upgrading, you have a chance to really stack up your mods in the way that you want them to be. And there's accuracy, there's defense, and there's energy weapons. So you have a little bit more playroom depending on what you're trying to stack with your abilities with that random modifier popping off.
So wait, let me get this straight. When you go to Epic, you're not just getting one Epic mod, you're getting two.
Yes. And
Ooh.
one of them is a random mod. We've tested it a few times. It is a random mod. Of course, you always get the part gens and shield emitters, but there's a second mod that pops up that is random.
I wonder if that's intentional or a bug.
I'm not entirely sure. With them being ultra rare, I would think initially they would have 4 modifications, but because of them being with the fleet holding, it might be intentional for them to have 3. And this is, if it's intentional as a random 4th mod at Epic, that could be intentional on the fact of you're spending a little extra time and resources to get the exact secondary deflector that you want.
That's possible. The energy damage mod, is that a Cat 1 or Cat 2?
That I have not been able to. I've only done about 3 ISAs with my science student, and my science student is not maxed out on triple yet. And plus, when you're running those new consoles, it's hard to tell what damage boost that particular deflector is giving with the consoles equipped. Which in my case, I had 4 of them. Definitely want to get on there with you, Cam, so we can test that particular deflector and see what it's doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, we'll arrange for some time to do that.
Which leads me into the consoles. Now, not many people might have seen anything about them, but the consoles are based off of 2 different things. It gives you a proc off of the final tick of exotic damage, or the final tick of a hull heal or shield heal, which if it's an instant hull heal or shield heal, it's instant. And what it does is a 10% all damage bonus. And Odin, I'm going to tell you this right now. With our tests, we were testing builds that had torpedoes, exotic damage, energy damage. It seemed to be boosting all of the above. So it does seem that the all damage means all damage.
Hell, it's about time.
And the interesting thing about this is it stacks up to 5 times, which we're considering it a Cat 1 until we see further proof and further testing, simply because it's a 50% all damage bonus when it ticks and stacks 5 times. And it does go up rather quickly. You can have 5 stacks in about 10-15 seconds of combat if you're activating abilities properly. So it doesn't take long, and that's why our general assumption right now is Cat 1. But since it's boosting all damage, if you're a FAW boat, which is fire at will, with your plasma consoles, you might want to try out 1 just to see if you can get a little bit of a boost. But for non-fire at will boats, your torpedo boats, your cannons, your exotic damage builds, this is going to be boosting those damage types as well. And you can get ones that are not based off exotic damage. You can get the hull heal and shield heal. That way all you have to do is do a hull or shield heal, and you can start getting those stacks for the extra damage. And with the mods that we've seen, the mods that I was currently testing, is the combination is particle gens and grav gens. And per console, at Epic, you're getting, if I remember correctly, 25% grav gens and 37.5 part gens. So in a science build that's doing gravity wells and tractor beam repulsors, you run 4 of these consoles. Typically you don't have a lot of energy weapons on most science builds I've seen, including the ones we were showing on the build show before this. You don't have a lot of energy weapons, so you're not getting the plasma proc often, if at all. You're relying on your exotic damage. Well, in this case, you are boosting all exotic damage. And then with the extra boost, you're boosting your torpedoes and what few beams you do have. And it's so far been a significant improvement compared to what's out there currently.
I just want to point out that Gravity Gen does nothing for tractor beam repulsors.
Okay.
If you're talking about the actual pull or the push of the TBR, that's based off your aux levels.
No, I just merely indicating the damage levels. A lot of players that do, from what I've seen, grav gen and primarily part gen builds, they're also running tractor beam repulsors to pull them into the gravity wells, since they have the Gragamal duty officer.
Correct. For me, this is pretty interesting. I would probably run a particle gen flow cap build because a lot of my ships I have to make the choice. Do I want to run a flow cap drain build or do I want to run a particle gen build? And in my particle gen build, it's like, I wish I had a little bit extra flow caps because I'm running out of power. So this could work out really well for me.
And there's a lot of different combinations as far as the modifiers on these consoles. And there are particle gen flow caps, grav gen flow caps, insulators, subspace decompilers. They really went in with different combinations on these consoles. And depending on what you're running, like I said, you can have all these combinations on exotic consoles, or you can have them on shield heal, hull heal consoles.
So it's one or the other, not both.
Well, you can run both depending on what you're trying to playstyle, but a lot of times if you're wanting it, and the other thing we're currently testing is if the damage boost stacks. My initial theory is no, but if the all damage does stack console to console, and you're running, for your case, Odin, a torpedo boat, you're not going to want anything exotic unless you have a slot for a Grav Well 1, which I wouldn't think. You're focusing on your Gravity Well and your particle gens. You're focusing on your torpedo damage and making sure your hull stays as high as possible. So you'd be wanting to have nothing but the hull heal, shield heal consoles.
Only thing I ask is, does the radiation damage count as exotic damage? That's all. For those consoles, does radiation damage count as exotic? If yes, a mixture of the two would be great. If no, just the hull heal, shield heal consoles then.
The only person that would know better than me on the exotic damage boosts, and it looked like he was getting a boost from them as well, is a player friend of ours named Proteus, and he runs a Fleet Dauntless that has torpedoes and beams, and I think he's got over 400 part gens on his build, and he was seeing an increase as well. So if he's seeing an increase on his torpedoes, his exotic damage, more than likely that's what they're doing.
Fingers crossed that they don't put the same restrictions that they put on the crafted console, where you can only have one.
So far, that hasn't shown up on Tribble, but yes, I do agree. I hope they don't do that, because then they'd have to go and retroactively do that for other science consoles from Fleet Holdings that people happen to love right now, to make it fair.
Well, we will see about that.
The last little tidbit, and I'm sure most people out there have heard about this, is it's almost considered a trait store on this Fleet Holding. And what I mean by that is you've got 5 things you can buy from this particular store. And we're going from, I guess I'll say, least important to most important. You can buy another R&D project slot. So instead of having 5 project slots, you can now have 6. But this is where it gets interesting. You can buy a 5th active reputation slot, which is your T5 Nukara refracting tetragon beam cascade, or your medical nanite cloud. You can have a 5th slot there. You can have a 5th ground reputation slot. You can have a 5th space reputation slot. And the most important one for a lot of builders out there, you can have a 5th starship trait slot. So this whole time, if you've been trying to play with four starship traits and you're going, man, if I just had one more slot, I could put this in and my build would be complete. When this comes out, you'll be able to do exactly that. It's a little costly, and by a little, it's a good bit. It costs, just for the starship trait, just on fleet credits, it costs 250,000 fleet credits right now, with a dilithium cost as well. but for a lot of people out there, it is going to be well worth what they'll be able to slot to add to their builds.
Quick question here for Alan in this case. Do any of your fleet members actually use these Starship traits or get ships to use these traits whenever they're doing any of their RP missions?
Not particularly for the RP missions, but for STFs and stuff like that. I know we got a couple of guys who are big into tanking, and him and I, Joran Romar and myself, we every once in a while, actually last time I wanted to one-on-one him in PvP, I had to pay him $1 million EC just so he'd do it, and it turned into a 45-minute fight. I'm running one of the Fire at Will builds myself right now, and he's got a pretty tanky, goddamn, Guardian class, Guardian. And, yeah, so, but yeah, there is some people in there that get the ships just for the trait. Like, I've been playing around with the idea of getting the Phantom ship, the Intel Escort, or whatever it is, for the, what is that trait?
Reciprocity.
That's the one, yes. Just to kind of add that as my 5th to my ship, because, yeah, I once I heard that you can get a 5th Starship trait, I'm just like, oh, God, yes. So, yeah, there is some people who are excited for it. I know, actually, one of the really fun ones from the command tree that people like to use in the RP is the barrel roll. So, like, if you have, I think some people have actually incorporated the barrel roll into RP with the Defiant class. Like, I think it's the USS Cisco, they actually did a barrel roll. And, yeah, I think it's kind of funny watching, like, an Odyssey class do a barrel roll, but, yeah.
Attack pattern Cisco.
Yes.
I see. Thank you. Timber, is there anything else we need to discuss as far as the new fleet holdings?
No, sir.
All right. Any news on the intelligence front?
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to stay quiet about it?
This is about the scratch on the paint of that shuttle.
Oh, that I'm going to have to talk to you about. Those intelligence shuttles cost quite a bit of money. And, I specifically told you not to tell anyone and to bring it back as you found it.
Sorry, sir.
But, yes, there is some intelligence news. There's definitely something interesting coming up, and I've been hinting about it for a while. But my sources tell me that it should be popping up really soon, within maybe a couple of days even.
Any more specifics? I mean, come on, your intel can't be that weak.
No, my intel is perfect, and yes, I have some very, very specific information.
At the very least, give us a date.
Fine. Maybe Friday?
Don't tease me, boy.
Yeah, I think Friday. Friday sounds like a good day.
It better be a good day, or else you'll die.
But that's all I can say for the moment.
Fine. We won't spoil the surprise. We won't tie you down to a chair somewhere and have a whole bunch of people from Section 5 look at you. Then the Section 31 folks will get to you.
Yeah, well, no, I'm the boss of Section 31, so good luck with that.
That's all right. Section 5's already infiltrated your ops, so we're good. All right. Well, we would like to thank everybody here for listening in. Thank you very much for tuning into the show. Thank you, Alan, for coming over here and giving us a nice little glimpse of your fleet. Any new videos that are coming out, please let us showcase them because, wow, we just love them. We actually love them. We're going to put a link to your website on here as well as your YouTube channel. If you want to drop the name of the person who creates a lot of your Foundry missions so that people can look them up, just send that information to me. You have my email address or you can tweet me. We'll put it up on the video as well in the description. People, go check out the Foundry missions that they have. Check out Zenas Expeditionary Force. If you are just getting into RP or want to learn about it, or you're a pro RPer and just want to join them, please do so. Contact information is below. And thank you very much here for our Chief Logistics Officer, Captain Timberwolf. Hal. Dang, must be a full moon somewhere. Our Chief Intelligence Officer, who will tell us that Friday something's big's happening here. So I take it you're going to be the one showcasing this on Friday then.
Might not be me. Might be someone even more important than me. You didn't think about that, eh?
Oh,
He's hiding something.
he's definitely hiding something. He's definitely hiding something. We're going to find out though, and I'm going to pry it out of him, because I'm the Chief Strategic Operations Officer, and what I say goes. Thank you for all for listening to the show. Have a good night.